Town of Lewiston. Please turn off all cell phones and electronic devices. Assistive listening devices, I have to say that slowly, are available for the hearing impaired. And would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you introduce yourself, Bill?
No, I didn't.
For the record?
For the record. I am Deputy Supervisor William Conrad, sitting in for Supervisor Broderick, who has an excused absence. So, just want to ask everybody for a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. The agenda. Do we have anything to be added to the agenda? Any deletions?
Brief announcement for Senior Center.
Okay. Anyone else?
Make a motion.
I'm sorry. Come up under legal. One's in reference to a highway abandonment, and the other one's reference to an amendment of a public drainage easement.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I think next we'll move on to Mr. Ed Walker. We have a presentation in the United States Census.
Conrad, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the board for allowing me to hop onto your agenda at very short notice. Well, my name is Ed Walker. I'm a partnership specialist with the United States Census Bureau. I live over here in the village, and my job as a partnership specialist has been and will continue to be throughout the census to engage any and all community organizations, government agencies, faith-based organizations, on telling them how important, safe, and easy the upcoming census is going to be. And I'm very excited to be with you this evening because we will be shaping our futures and the futures of everyone in this country for the next 10 years based on what we do come early next year. So let's begin shaping our futures, and we're going to start right here. The Census Bureau is the leading and largest statistical agency in the United States. We have a number of different programs. The one that you know the most is the decennial census, which will be going on next year beginning in April. I didn't pick this date, but April 1st is Census Day across the country. We also operate a number of other surveys that you might be aware of. We do over 130 continuously all the time. But you might be familiar with the American Community Survey. That used to be called the long form of the census, and it became so important, the information that we gathered there, that we now run it continuously year-round in very specific areas of the country chosen at random. One thing I want to get out really quickly, very fast, is there is always attempts to defraud when the census is on, and because for the first time this coming year you will be able to comply with the census online, we are expecting more things to happen. So we have active groups, and they can be reached at that at the website up there, or by that 800 number. We want you to know that fraud has already started with the census. We had folks that took groups that have taken the census logos, put out mailers that look very much like census information, and those events ended up those flyers ended up going to folks, and at the end it was a political party asking for donations. We will never do that, ever. But we want to let you know that we're out in front of it, and if you find or hear of anything that looks suspicious to you on the census's part, please get a hold of us. And we have people that will be actively looking to to go after that. Couple of our mottos is, and it's extremely important, is to count everyone once and only once and in the right place. That's because we're expecting to count between 330 and 340 million people, and also document over 140 million households in this upcoming decennial census. The census is mandated by Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. That article says that we will, once every 10 years, count every single person in the United States. We do this every 10 years, and the two big things that are determined by the census are power and money. And we'll get into those in just a minute. But the three keys that I hope you'll take away from this presentation, if nothing else, is that the census is safe, easy, and important. And we're going to talk about each one of those. The census is important. I mentioned power. Power is determined by the number of representatives each state has in Congress. The more representation you have, the more representation, the more people you have working to help this state and all of us get what is reasonable from the federal government. Now, not only congressional districts, but it also defines state legislative districts, it defines school districts and voting precincts. So that is something that can come right back to you. If there aren't enough people are counted, your voting districts might be redrawn to accommodate the number of people. Those are directly determined by the number of people that we count. But here's the big thing, and it's in bold there for a reason. Every single year, over $675 billion are returned to the states from the federal government based solely on census data. And there's a few items up there: Medicaid, SNAP, highway planning, Section 8 housing, education grants, Title I grants, and the list goes on and on and on. And this is probably the most important thing. I don't think there's a person in here, if I had the time to do it, that I could not directly connect their life and how it's affected by the census figures. But one real quick thing is, say there's 100 students in a school that qualify for SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. But the census, for whatever reason, only knows about 80 of those students. Well, and that could be for a wide variety of reasons. Their parents were distrustful of government, they didn't want their kids listed, but they have done them a disservice. Because if we only know about 80 of those students, then the census, the people who distribute the funds, are going to go by our data, and they're only going to submit funds to cover 80 students. Now, all 100 students will get served, but they will be served with less money. And that's wrong. Every child who qualifies for SNAP should be afforded, and the school districts that run those programs should be afforded every dollar that they need to make that program work. It's safe. We do everything we can to protect personal identifiable information. I am sworn by law, I take an oath the day I am onboarded, to never reveal any census information that I have gathered in my time with the census for life. My term with the census will probably be over next year at this time, but the rest of my life, I cannot reveal any personal identifiable information that I have learned during my term here, or I could go to jail for 5 years and be fined $250,000. Cybersecurity. Because we are going to be online for the first time this year, we are going overboard to work with the top government agencies, the top private security industry, to make sure that when your data is entered into our system, it's automatically encrypted and safe from being attacked by cyber criminals. It's easy. I talked about it. You can respond 4 different ways this coming year. For the first time ever, you'll be able to do it online. You can also do it over the phone. If you would like to use a paper form, you will get a paper form. Or you can wait until one of my colleagues shows up at your door and asks you to please comply with the census. What are we going to ask you? We're going to ask for your name. We're going to ask you for your age, date of birth, race, whether you're Hispanic or not, what your relationship is to the individual who is filling out the form. Tenure is a $5 word for do you own or rent where you live. And then we will ask you operational questions. The names of any children in your home, the first names of other people that might live in your home. And that is data for us to be able to make sure that when we cross-check our information, what you have given us jives with information that we have garnered. The most important thing to remember is we will never ask you for your Social Security number. We will never ask you for money or donations. We will not ask you for anything on behalf of any political party, and we will not ask you for any bank account information. Anybody who does that is committing fraud, and you need to let us know about that. We actually ask you for less information than you would put down if you were applying for a cell phone. So we don't ask a lot. It won't take you a long time to fill them out. So it's easy. We're making it even easier with language support. Online and over the phone, you will be able to respond to the census in English and 12 other languages that you see listed up there. We know there's a lot of bilingual folks in our country, and we need to be able to ensure we can make it easier for them to respond. In addition, I hate this slide. Nobody can read it. We have other languages that we support to the tune of 59 different languages, where we will supply them with language guides, glossaries, and identification cards so that they can read their language, and it helps them fill out the English form. So we are really trying to make it easy. Here's how the census will start. Middle of March will be our first mailing. You'll get a card, and you'll be able to respond online or over the phone. There will be phone numbers there in each language that we are carrying, those 12 languages that you can call. 16th to 24th, you're going to get a reminder letter if you have not complied by then. The 26th to April 3rd, we'll send you a reminder postcard. That April 8th to the 16th, we're going to send you a reminder letter and a paper form at that time, so if you would like to complete it on paper, you will be able to. And then finally, at the end of April, you'll get another reminder postcard asking you to please comply with the census. After that, our enumerators will be hitting the field to ask you to please respond. So, the census is safe, it's easy, and it's important, and we are here tonight because this information is so important that we need to engage everybody in this country to make sure that we can get a full and complete, accurate account. So what we are looking for from all of you good folks is to partner with us and be the trusted voice. I don't know everybody here. There are 9 of us in Erie and Niagara County that are out doing the job that I am doing, but we need to be able to reach everyone. And if we can get folks who are a trusted voice in their community to say, hey, look, this is important. Listen to what he has to say. It's important to you individually. It's important to us as a government. Please comply with the census. One other thing that's really important is that we have jobs, lots and lots of jobs available. Right now, as of today, our recruiting goal in New York is we have to recruit 169,000 people to be sure that we can hire enough people to complete the census, and we are behind. It's very simple to respond. You can go to that website. It's the only way to apply, 2020census.gov/jobs. Our jobs are paying $17 an hour in this area right now. As of January 1st, we'll be paying $18 an hour because we need to attract more people. We will pay you 58 cents a mileage if you use a vehicle. We'll give you bus passes if you don't have a vehicle. You can work part-time, you can work days, nights, weekends, You get paid on a weekly basis. All your training will be paid for. You'll be issued a handheld small computer that all your work will be done on. Your payroll, your training will all be done there. And then when you go out into the field, that is how you will do your work. You won't be dealing with all the paper forms. We will send you lists of folks in your area that we ask you to go and call on, which is really important because the census, for all of its hugeness, is a really grassroots kind of effort. We're asking people in our neighborhoods to call on their neighbors and help us make sure that we get a complete and accurate count. The requirements are very simple. You have to be 18 years of age, you have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to have a social security number, and you have to have an email address. You'll complete your application online. Once you are completed, then you go into our bank, and our hiring is going on now, and it's going to be ramping up through December, January, and February. We're going to be hiring thousands and thousands of people because we have to train them and have them ready to be able to hit the streets to count folks by the first part of April. So please, if you know anyone who would be able to do a job like that, it'd be a great part-time job for young people because it's going to go on. The census count will be going on during the summer. So if you have a high school person, even if they're 17, but they're going to turn 18 in January, have them apply. Because as soon as they turn 18, they will go up into the system and they'll be considered for employment. So please consider that. If you have questions, please let me know. Milestones for the census. We are in the organizational phase right now, the talking phase, going out and telling people all about the census. But then we're going to ramp up in January. The national ad campaign begins. Again, April 1st is Census Day. Mid-May to July, our census takers are going door to door. And then by December 31st of next year, we have to have all our data tabulated and turned over to the President and the Congress for them to use to start the redistricting process. We have complete count committees. And I would strongly suggest that the Lewiston Town Board adopt themselves as a complete count committee. That sounds like a big, terrible thing, but actually what it is, we ask you if you can be a disseminator of information for us. Will you let us put flyers on your bulletin boards? Would you be willing to have some flyers on the clerk's office desk? Would you consider putting a census logo on your website, something like that? Those are the things that we're asking our complete count committees to do, to have so that we have the census in the forefront to the folks in this town so that they can think about, well, the town supporting this, I ought to think about doing this too. So I would strongly request and ask that you adopt being a complete count committee. We're in the education phase right now, which you can see we're going to, how the course of it's going to run. And our data collection and stuff is going to be wrapped up by the end of July of next year. What do we have? We have an incredible amount of promotional materials. You gentlemen each got a flyer, a package of flyers. That is the tip of the iceberg in the number of things that we can provide to you all to use in your newsletters, in postings. We can work with you and supply you with just about anything you would need. And the most important thing is to take in your head, safe, easy, and important. And if someone asks you, or it comes up in conversation, you'll be able to tell them why the census is so important. We use a special system to outreach. This is available to anyone who would like to look for it. You can go to www.census.gov/Rome, and this is a data mapping system that we use extensively to identify hard to count areas. There's a thing up there that says low response score, and it's above 30%. We as partnership specialists use that particularly to identify those areas that are more likely not to respond. That means that if they were gonna self-comply, and that's all we did, 30% of those folks would not comply for any reason whatsoever. And we have to go in and make sure we understand why. Well, why? Their median age is 33. Remarkably, young people, for all of their attention to social media and things like that, don't trust this kind of information coming over the internet. They're 41% Hispanic, which could really present some distrust in government, some language barrier issues, that kind of thing. And then in the little red box down there, almost 34% of the households in that little census tract up there do not have internet access. So they're not going to be able to respond online. They're not going to be able to hear a lot of the information that we have available. They're not going to be able to get it. So that's why we are going to target those areas, and just about 4 miles from here are one of those blue areas. And one of them just a couple miles up the hill is also a strongly blue area. By the way, I have pledged that I will form a complete count committee of the clan mothers of the Tuscarora Nation. That's one of my goals, to make sure that we can get really good data from the folks on the reservation. And I'm working with them. We're getting there. We also have a data dissemination program where we will come out and help you write grants. You have to write grants. Every government agency has to write grants. Well, 90% of the information that you need to write a grant comes from the Census Bureau. Now, you may hire a consultant to help you with all of those crazy numbers that they ask you for when you're writing a grant. Well, a lot of what these consultants do is they'll go to the census, they'll pull out the data that you need, they'll put it in a pretty package, and they'll charge you $10,000 for it. Well, we aim to try and change that. We will not write grants for you, but if we could find enough interest in this area, and I think we probably could, we will have one of our data dissemination specialists come and hold a workshop to help you learn how to get the data that you need to comply for grants. That's available. We are connected everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, we're on it. If you look up Census Bureau, you're going to find a ton of information about the census. Here is some more contact information for our partnership program, for our census job program, and that concludes my little speech. I hope I hit my time marks. I thank you so much for putting me on your agenda on short notice, and if there are any questions, I would certainly be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone from the board have any questions for Mr. Walker before he,
Is there a document that we have to fill out to be a complete?
count?
No, all you have to do is tell me that you would like to be a complete count committee. If you want to take a vote, that's fine. Because then I can make it a little more official. But I would, if you wish to, then I will document that, and you will start to receive information from the census. Whoever you designate will begin receiving information from the census, and I will help you in every way that I can.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is there any, does that obligate us either financially or labor-wise for any huge?
Absolutely not. There are complete count committees that are a group of churches who decide that they're going to put them on their bulletin boards. There are complete count committees that cover the Erie and Erie County and the city of Buffalo jointly. There are state complete count committees, so they go from that size down to what it really is any organization that is willing to help us disseminate information about the census. We count them as a complete count committee if they wish to be, and then we make sure that you get the information that you need.
Great, thank you.
Make the motion.
Mr. Baggs made a motion to
Designate the town as a
designate the town as a
complete
complete
count.
count committee.
And have Donna Garfinkel as the contact person?
That makes sense, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not here.
Good.
All
All right, she was supposed to put me on the agenda.
right, any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your
Did good?
the support.
Breathe a little bit now. You did a good job.
All right, thank you. We're gonna move on to resident statements. We only have one person signed up, two people, Linda and Jack Carlson, 435 Kenwood. Please step forward.
Haven't seen you in a while.
Pardon me?
There.
I'm here again for the fence issue at 439 Kenwood Drive. What is the status?
It's in court.
What do you mean it's in court? They were denied the variance.
That's correct.
So why is it in court?
It's been in court for non-compliance. The judge gave him to January to bring it in compliance.
Can I ask you why you did not answer my email when I sent you an email?
That'll have an answer.
And neither did Broderick.
Presumably, we're waiting for the court to make to see if this is in compliance, and then we'll
Are
have
they
further.
gonna fine him?
That's up to the judge.
That is a completely different world from my office, so once it goes over there, I'm out of it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. When you apply for a permit, and you're gonna not be within code, aren't you supposed to apply for a variance then?
Correct, yeah.
So why was he allowed to apply after?
You're always allowed to apply.
Well, maybe you'll hear from my lawyer next.
Wait till after January.
Mr. Carlson? Cool. Is there anyone else that wants to take this time to speak right now? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to department head statements. Clerk, Carol?
Nothing.
Chief?
Just to let the board know, excuse me, and everybody else, just to wish everybody happy holidays for Thanksgiving. Also, we will be doing, as we usually do with any holiday stuff, we'll have some DWI vehicles out as far as part of a state grant for compliance. So just be smart. If you're gonna go out and have a good time, just get a ride and be safe and enjoy the time with your family.
Thank you, Chief. Tim?
Nothing, but I just wanted, I mean, you understand why this scenario, once it goes to court, I can't do anything with it.
Right,
so.
understood. Jackie?
I'm on the agenda.
Okay. Dan? Jeff? Bob? Okay. And, Tom?
I can get to it now, or we can get to it under the legal part of the agenda.
It's up to you.
I have two things to bring before the board tonight. One of them is an issue relative to a highway abandonment. It's a portion of Aberdeen that was deeded to the town for the development of a highway back in the 50s, and it was never turned into a highway.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah.
I have a part in this transaction, I believe.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'm representing one of the, I think I'm representing the seller or the purchaser in on this transaction.
Okay.
George Adamson is on the other side.
Right.
So I don't know if I should step down and walk away from the dais.
You might as well. You can recuse yourself. You should. Although in this particular scenario, what I'm really asking for is a formality. The fact that the town has never turned this particular piece of property into a highway, even after 6 years, automatically deeds it back to the homeowner. So now we're talking about over 60, 70 years later. But through the course of a recent property transaction, my understanding is that one of the insurance companies wanted to have this resolved. So George Adamson has asked me to bring it before the board. I've looked through it with George, the process, and I've also talked to Dave Train about it. The process that's required is that Dave Train actually signs off on the certificate of highway abandonment, which I prepared and circulated to Dave, and then the board just accepts it. I'm not gonna read the entirety of the meets and bounds of the abandonment. It's not necessary to do so for the record, but if you have any questions, I can present further to you. I have a map of it.
So we just need a motion to discontinue and abandon the said property.
Yeah, you just need a motion actually to accept the superintendent of highways certificate of highway abandonment.
So move.
Okay, okay, go on.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, but for discussion.
Discussion, go ahead.
Discussion on it. She's also my cousin, a new purchaser of the home. So
Okay.
should I recuse myself on this also?
I don't know anybody involved.
Well, do we have three people?
I had a
So,
question.
Mr. Bax?
Just one
Actually,
question.
can you-
Yeah.
This
Thank you.
action doesn't show any partiality towards either side, seller or the buyer?
No.
So
This
there's
is
no controversy whatsoever?
none whatsoever.
We've been bitten lately.
Well, the history of it is, at one point when they were developing that area of town, there's an 18-foot strip of property that was deeded to the town. The town later obtained more property over on the other side of that street, so they obtained a different 18 feet so that they moved the road where they wanted to put the road. Okay, so this particular 18-foot strip that has remained on the current property owner's title for over 70 years, almost 70 years, as being property that was set aside for the town of Lewiston to develop into a highway, okay? Legally, after 6 years of non-development, that automatically is deemed to have been abandoned by the town. What we're doing today is had Dave Train look at it from the highway department. He's gonna sign a certificate. If the town board is in agreement, they'll accept that. You guys sign it, it gets filed with the clerk, and it sits there, clarifies their right to that land. Interestingly, abandonments of property for highways can always be reversed by the town anyhow, so really it's nothing more than a formality to assure that this property owner can transfer their property in the future without hiccups.
So can Rob vote on this?
I would think that Rob can recuse himself as well as.
We don't have three
Mr.
then.
Bax.
We don't have
We only have two. They have no vote.
You don't have a vote, so I don't think either of you actually needs to recuse yourself, but Al, since you were involved in the transaction,
I would prefer to.
Rob, Mr. Morial, do you think that despite the fact that the property purchaser is in relation to you, would you be able to consider this request in a fair and impartial manner?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're doing anything that's,
You're not-
it's been sold twice
It's been
before
sold
this.
That's right.
More than twice.
Since I've been on
More
Aberdeen.
than twice, yeah.
And I don't know why this has never come up until they just bought it.
It was one prickly title examiner, I think.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Mr. Morial needs to recuse himself. He's certainly not required to under any ethical provisions of the law if he doesn't feel necessary.
So I made the
So we have a motion, or is there a
I
second?
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One abstention.
So David Train has to sign this and submit it.
He's not here right now.
And can we wait for Steve Broderick to sign?
Yeah.
Do we have to also make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign it?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention.
Okay.
Who's that?
All right.
Thank you very much.
You had your second item? Wanna do
The
that
second
now?
item is another residential property issue. This is newer. This has to do with a piece of property that was purchased and is being developed currently on Wolf Run. It's a recent new subdivision, as you're aware. The purchaser bought 2 lots and is building one house on the 2 lots. The way that subdivision was designed and set out is that it includes some public drainage easements that run from the back of those lots up to the front of the lots. And when the purchaser bought the 2 lots and built this house there, the drainage easements actually, if we don't revise them, they appear to run directly through their house. This is again something that, it wasn't anticipated that someone would buy 2 lots when they developed the property, but because they did, we need to make an adjustment on this easement. This is again something I've talked to our town engineers about. Mr. Lana was involved. He's in agreement. Mr. Masters has looked at it. Mr. Train has looked at it as well. Everybody is in agreement that what I've drafted up, and again, it's not necessary that I read the entirety of this for the record. What I would ask for is a motion to abandon certain portions of a public drainage easement relative to lots 24 and 25 of Wolf Run, conditioned on attorney approval. And if someone would make that motion, I'd appreciate
So
that.
move discussion.
Second for discussion.
Okay.
Are the revised drainage easements in place which would be on the outside of
Yes.
this new lot.
Yes.
So Mr. Train satisfied Mr.
Yes,
Masters.
Correct, yes. The remaining drainage easements that are in place satisfy what's necessary for the drainage on that lot.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And then I would ask, in particular, because Mr. Conrad is here today for a motion to authorize Mr. Conrad to sign this partial easement
So move.
release.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I wanted to ask one question. Are
Oh,
you-
sorry.
Are you signing in the place of the supervisor?
Yeah.
That would be.
Okay, aye.
I've practiced signature.
No, no.
Just kidding.
And that,
Is that it?
thank you. That's all I have this evening.
Okay, all right, we'll get back on to the order of the agenda here. Approval of the meeting minutes for November 14th, 2019, public hearing, work session.
Move for approval as presented.
Second.
Oh.
Excuse me, I do have one correction on
Oh,
it.
perfect.
Oh, okay.
Page 139, very last paragraph, the budget revision number 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 42,500, it's just 2,500.
Oh.
2,500.
Just change that.
Okay.
Accept the amendment.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Morial, the audit payment?
November 25th, 2019, I move to approve the regular abstract of claims numbered 3186 to 3321 and recommend payment in the amount of $942,068.24 plus a post-audit of $15,129.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, under old business, the roof bids pavilions, Mr. Masters. I believe this item is going to be tabled, right?
Take
Mr.
no action.
I
Okay.
talked to Steve, he wants to investigate a little more.
Okay,
So if we could
Mr. Broderick.
postpone it for 2 weeks, that would be good.
Okay.
Tim, is there anticipated action, or?
There's anticipated action. Like, you mean, to get them done?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he wanted to investigate perhaps there was an issue with the lease and
Okay,
funding and
okay.
different things, so.
So do we need just no action, or do we need to table it, formally table it?
You can table it. I would table it.
All right, is there a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, pending new business, residents correspondence. Carol?
I don't believe we have any. Nope.
Okay. Under Mr. Broderick's items, legal.
You do.
Oh, sorry, we're all set. Anything else? Okay. Engineer?
Two things, respect to bidding, advertising of construction for contracts. The police and parks building is well underway, and I think what we need to do now is take the next step and rebid the electrical contract. We've been trying to coordinate with the installation of the cell tower to try to piggyback on some of the work where they're gonna bring the power across from Harold. I think we're at a point where we had to do that. So I've asked the board's permission to re-advertise for the bids for the electrical contract.
Okay, is there a motion?
So move.
Second. All right, discussion?
Rob, do we have any concern about which corner of it electrical's going in?
I can put it at each corner. I was speaking to Dave Train before the meeting, and my understanding is now that the power is gonna be brought back in the original place we had it, so I think that'll be fine. It's an easy fix either way. I just need to know where it's gonna be, but I'll coordinate with Dave and the county folks to find out where this is gonna be.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you. And then the second one is I think at this point, information for the board.
Hallelujah.
For the water line, the much anticipated long overdue water line. I'd like to suggest that we advertise for bids on December 16th. We open bids on January 22nd, all with a target of awarding the contract on January 27th, which I believe will be the regularly scheduled town board meeting in January. That's our target.
Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was that a motion, or was that just informational?
Do you need
I guess it'd be okay if we had a motion for approval.
to advertise and?
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, there's a motion and, you have a second?
Mhm.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bob, now, we're not gonna incur any more costs as far as engineering with all this delay, are we? We're still good, you were okay with the?
Well, there'll be more engineering during the bidding phase and the construction phase and the inspection phase, but no more on design. There were 4 phases of our scope.
Was this-
Right now, we're wrapping up, we wrapped up the design, now we're gonna go into bidding.
Would that all have occurred anyway, even without the delay?
Oh, yeah, it's all standard procedures. It's just, there's been a bit of a delay in getting concurrence from some of the permitting agencies.
Would you go over the dates again?
Sure. We would suggest that we advertise for bids on December 16th, and then open bids on January 22nd. And then that would give us a few days to canvass the bids and come up with a letter of recommendation to award. And our target would be January 27th of 2020 for the board to award a contract. All else going smoothly.
Well, Bob, you really didn't answer what I was asking. You got awarded a 1.3 million, wasn't it, contract? Is that staying the same then, even though with the delay, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, there's no additional engineering due to the delay.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, I misunderstood, our contract will remain the same regardless of the delay.
Okay.
Rob, no change orders?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
Let me ask a question. You know, the state was, for Creek Road, did they come around on that?
Well, that's an interesting question. We have provided the state, DOT in particular, drawings of our original line. And we met with them downtown Buffalo, and they had some suggested edits. In particular for Creek Road, they wanted the water line moved away from the road as far as we could, which is essentially closer to the school, but still within the DOT right of way, which was an easy fix. We made that no problem. The other area is up along Lewiston Road. It goes from the bridge down toward Mountain View Drive. That stretch there. There have been some changes there. That we actually were able to eliminate about 600 feet of water line with some additional crossings that we had to do there. So the accommodations the DOT has requested, we have made.
My concern on Creek Road was, by moving that back, are the hydrants gonna be very, very inaccessible?
No, that shouldn't change. We can locate the hydrants wherever we can. The
And little
location of
stubs?
the main is just what their concern was.
Okay, all right.
The hydrant does not have to be right over the line.
Yeah, there's a main line and then a hydrant branch off of that we can put at whatever length is necessary.
Okay.
Because in the past years, we've actually put up little, almost bridges from the
Concrete.
road over
Yeah.
to it, because they're so far away. So we've made that effort to make them accessible.
That's my big concern there, was just
Good push.
for the fire departments, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Those are, locations of hydrants are very easily accommodated.
Excellent.
We're more or less trying to get DOT to approve. Ultimately, what will be required of a construction contractor is to obtain a highway work permit from New York State DOT. So that's gonna be responsibility of the successful bidder to provide maintenance and protection on traffic plans, as well as getting a highway work permit and like the bonding requirements that the DOT has, all of which will be the contractor's responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion?
And for the record, I'm not sure if it was 1.2 million or 1.3 million.
1.1.
1.1, okay, just so we keep it on the record, 1.1 million, okay.
Just a quick question, how many qualified bidders do you see showing up for something like this?
Qualified?
You have to qualify.
Well, they have to be the lowest, well, they have to be a responsible bidder, one, and the low bidder has to, responsive and responsible bidder. For a project this size, you're gonna probably get a fair bit of interest, okay? Several here in Western New York will go after that. It's hard to say. I would expect you probably get 6 to 10, I would think. Part of the advantage of bidding it at this time of year is they're able to set their stage for the construction season of 2020. If you bid it in July, construction season is well underway, you might not get as much, might not be as much of an appetite for a large job like this. Early, I think we'll be the town could be in a no better position in terms of the bidding climate if you bid it in December, January. They get everything together, and then the snow melts, and then
If you award it in January, February, how long do you expect the whole thing to take?
we've allocated 1 year of construction. What will likely happen is if everything goes well and there's no issues with the bidding, it's awarded in the end of January. Probably about 30 days later, we have a notice to proceed, everything else going smoothly, and then we'll likely get the main line and the hydrants and all of the infrastructure in 2020. Likely to be grass restoration in the spring of 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Lenz. Any other
One
discussion?
When contractors bid, is there a rating for contractors if they have problems for other construction, phases? Or
you have to award it to the lowest responsible bidder, okay? And the only, I'll say, criteria, if you will, is if a contractor or a bidder was disbarred from bidding public work because of the New York State Department of Labor violation.
Okay.
We will be required to include New York State wage rates, okay, which is probably about 50 or 60 pages of wage rates. And included in that wage determination, at the end of that will be a list of contractors across the entire state which are precluded from bidding on public work projects for a period of time due to one violation or another, which usually is
not for
paying
workmanship? Yeah.
No, that's
Okay.
I wish there was, but there's not.
Well, you also had, the lowest qualified bidder also has to have done similar work over a period of years. Is that the way the RFP went out?
That kind of goes toward the responsiveness of the bidder.
They also have to be
Being
able to get
I'm sorry, the responsibility of the bidder.
adequate bond protection for us.
Yeah.
Bonding, there'll be bonds, performance bond, labor material bond, all kinds of bonds and insurance.
No, we went through that.
So it'll be, it's quite an involved project.
Okay.
Okay, we've already had a motion. Carol, was there a second? I don't remember.
I believe there was.
I think Al made a second.
No, you already approved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't vote on it. We're still discussing it.
Did we vote on it?
We didn't vote yet.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
They jumped the gun, just wrote 4-0.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all I had on the presenting question.
All right, you caused enough trouble, Bob. So. All right, finance, Jackie.
Tonight I have 3 budget revisions. The first one is to move a total of $900 from the assessor's contractual budget into the assessor's equipment budget to cover the purchase of a new server. The current server that they have right now has crashed twice, and it's been highly recommended to replace it. And it's been fine.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next.
The second revision is requesting to move a total of $1,778 from the police SRO revenue budget to the police BOCES SRO personnel budget to cover the BOCES SRO personnel expenses that occurred over the summer. This was something that occurred and there was no budget set up into it. It was a new adventure this year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Again, this is at no cost to us. This is money
That's correct.
that we
They
get back.
paid, right, they paid for the entirety of that expense.
Salaries and benefits, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
The last one is requesting to move a total of $2,675, $1,000 coming from dog control equipment budget, $1,675 coming from dog control contractual budget, and both of that being moved into the building equipment budget to cover new carpet tiles in the front foyer of town hall building.
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
The last thing I have is, we are in a contract with Drescher and Malecki as our auditor. And annually, we have to sign annual financial report update documents, the AUD, as well as the audit engagement letters. So I ask the board to authorize the supervisor to sign both of those engagement letters.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, anything else?
No,
All right, Mr. Bax, your liaison report?
Make a motion to approve the hiring of a Josh Stack as the last maintenance hire over at the wastewater treatment plant. My understanding that this is going to, his employment would start January 2nd, 2020, and be pursuant to the terms of the employment contract.
Second.
Union contract, I'm sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
And secondly, I'd like to authorize the highway department to go out to bid, subject to attorney approval for the brush removal.
okay, a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, is that it?
That's all I got. Thank you.
Mr. Guyman?
The Town of Lewiston Senior Center will be having its annual Christmas luncheon on December 10th, and the board members are encouraged to attend. Please, if you're ready to stay for lunch, call 754-2071. Senior Center is a great place of camaraderie, education, entertainment, refreshments, nurturing. It's a good place to stop off and visit. And if by any chance one of you is available on December 10th, there's some full costumes that we can get from the chamber if you'd like to be the Grinch or somebody to entertain.
You wouldn't have to dress up then.
Nope. Just come.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Ouch.
Is that it?
No, that's it.
Mr. Jacoby?
Don't really have anything to report other than we had the Historical Preservation Committee meeting, and we didn't have a quorum, but one of the main reasons we didn't have a quorum because Mrs. Maggard had her surgery. I believe it's hip, if I'm not mistaken. And
How is she? Any idea?
I think she's doing well.
Okay.
You know, afterwards you go for the rehab, but, you know, everyone should keep her in our thoughts and prayers.
Amen.
Thank you.
That's all I
John?
got.
The Bicentennial Committee has skipped a couple of meetings. Hopefully,
Yeah, by design, though.
2020, we can kick it into high gear.
Yeah, they thought through the holidays
Right.
that, you know, we weren't gonna get the attendance we needed, so we didn't have those meetings. 2 months.
Okay. All right, is that it?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Morial?
Just touch base on the streetlights. We paid for our end of the streetlights that we needed to pay for, and they did cash our check, didn't they, Jake? So we're in the scheduling process, so I was hoping to see the lights done by the end of the year, but I think we're gonna go a few months into that, but I'll get more for the next meeting, see when they're gonna be completed.
When they go on, Rob, and we get the complaints on how bright they are, will you come back?
Don't call me. Where is he? Jason, you're back there?
But a quick discussion on that, you know, Rob did, as Bill and everyone's aware, Rob did a hell of a job with that.
That's
So
right.
It's gonna save all of us money in our taxes, and it's gonna provide better lighting. It's a win-win-win.
I agree.
I think we ought to congratulate Rob for his work.
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
And Mr.
Mr. Masters.
Okay, move back to you.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
Ned is here. Is there a reason why he's here tonight?
No, Ned, is there a reason why you're here?
Well, I didn't know there was a reason why I was here. I received a call about 5:45 to 6 from Dave Frank, and he said, we're moving the county wants to move
The tower?
specific location of the cell tower. He said, are you coming to the meeting tonight? Oh, I didn't say need me tonight. I said, you need me at the meeting. He says, yeah, come down.
And then he left.
Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And so the bottom line is we'll coordinate with Chief Lydell. I'll find out what the change is, if it requires any further board approval or approvals by any of the committees or commissions that did review and approve the presentation as it was put together. Then we'll make the necessary changes. It takes another vote.
We've been working cooperatively with the county.
Yeah.
They're covering all the expenses.
Yeah.
They just need the property, and then we have the asset that we've been looking for all these years.
Yep. So I was told that it's not a big move, but it's not like they're, moving it more than 20, 30 feet or anything like that.
Is that about right, Tim?
But it'll be moved more than 20, 30 feet, yes. Because the tower itself is 180 feet, so we don't want the tower to fall on any of our own buildings.
Okay. It's a 50 by, at least 50 by 50 area that we're leasing to the county. So we'll report back. I'll work with everybody involved. I don't know if you know anything about it yet.
My interest is where the power comes from.
Let's go ahead and move it over to, from Harold Road, across Harold Road.
Yep, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so, you might see me again.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll move back to resident statements. Evening.
Good evening, Amy Woodriall, River Road. I just want to get some additional clarification from Mr. Seaman on the interpretation of the recusal issue. It's not a surprise to me that Mr. Bax and also one of the most honest and earnest members of the town council this town has ever had, Mr. Morial, asked to recuse themselves for using their discretion, either the legal requirement or their discretion to feel comfortable in avoiding even the appearance of a conflict of interest. So I wondered if the situation were different, Mr. Seaman, and there was some issue that came before a board where a town council member said to you, well, gee, I guess I have to choose between the town and my family. In that sort of a situation, would you encourage them to recuse themselves if they had an immediate family member with a financial conflict or financial benefit from a board action, let's say?
Ma'am, I appreciate your question, but what I'm not gonna do at this board meeting is have you stand and pose fanciful questions that are based on some subjective facts that you have in your own mind and try to ask me what the legal analysis would be about. All I've heard you say is if there was a scenario where someone had to choose between their family and the board, I'm not gonna engage in you laying out a fact scenario to try to challenge my legal interpretations of it.
Oh, no.
What's happened between me and the board today was my interpretation of the legal matter, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Okay, so in terms of your...
I'm not here to engage in a conversation with you, nor is that the purpose of public comment, for you to come up and question each and every one at this table and require responses. That's not the purpose for comment. Public comment is here for you to make your comments. The board will acknowledge your comments if they want to, and then that's the end of the public comment.
Okay, so other members of the public who ask questions and get answers during the meeting doesn't
I'm not going to engage
apply.
in an argument with you. I've made the two statements that I wish to about that tonight. Thank you.
Okay, well, what I would say to the board, Mr. Deputy, that it certainly would be helpful if you would comment on what you feel appropriate guidance is. The hypothetical that I laid out to Mr. Seaman was not for the intent or the mind reading that Mr. Seaman portrayed, but nevertheless, because there are legal requirements for recusal, and then there is discretion for recusal. And given that we want the highest level of ethics in the town as opposed to the bare minimum, perhaps at the next meeting, I would certainly welcome comments from the board as to how they interpret the situations when recusal may be appropriate. We certainly heard that from Mr. Bax and Mr. Morial this evening. I would certainly like to hear the view of whatever hypothetical situation you think is appropriate to illustrate when you feel you should recuse yourself and when not, recognizing that any hypothetical is purely hypothetical. And I would expect that your comments would be reasonable and informative and guidance, and not with the hostility that Mr. Seaman made his remarks this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trell. Anyone else like to speak?
I have a question for Jackie and then a statement. Can I ask you how much the town pays Mr. Seaman annually?
I would have to go back and look at that.
Is it $39,000 $39,000, was it $39,000 a year?
I'm gonna have to go back and.
So
Public
last
comment
year-
period is not intended for.
I'm making my comment now.
No,
You don't speak. I'm making my comment now. You wanna get at?
Ms. Glasgow,
I'm not asking for a legal
please.
opinion.
You're directing the question.
Everyone,
I'm asking a question.
now let's
I'm asking a question.
keep it civil.
I'm going
A
to,
specific,
until I was interrupted.
all right, a specific question about someone's salary, it's published, it was published in the,
Oh, the attorneys, Bill, are not published. Just the elected officials are
right,
published.
well, let's keep it civil, okay?
Keep it civil.
Thank you.
As long as nobody interrupts me when I ask a question. Because I'm paying people's salary, and I'd like to know how much we're paying this gentleman. I know how much we pay. the
She
highway
said she
department.
didn't know the answer, so that's something that we'll,
Okay, we have an ethics code that's now in process. One of the phrases on that, and I commend you, Rob, and Al, and I know Al, you and I have had some problems in the past, but I commend you for what you did. That's what you're supposed to do ethically. There's a section in our ethics law that says when a town employee or official feels that they ethically are bound to recluse themselves, I'm paraphrasing, I believe it's section G, that they are within their right to recluse themselves. The Alliance brought to this board a revised ethics code policy. I would hope we would go back and visit the ethics code. In fact, Al had it, and Rob had a lot to do with the writing of it. I would hope that this town would go back and revisit the passage of that and tighten up some of the ethics questionable decisions that were made tonight. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving.
thank you, same to you. Anyone else from the audience? Okay, move on to upcoming board meetings. Mr. Guyba, did you have something to say?
Nope.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought I interrupted you.
I had to breathe.
All right, if you have to. All right, town offices are closed November 28th through 29th for Thanksgiving. Town board work session is Thursday, December 9th.
I don't know why she put Thursday, it's Monday.
I'm sorry,
No, I don't know why that's on there. It's Monday, December 9th.
Monday, December 9th, okay. Environmental Commission meeting is December 10th at 7 PM. Zoning Board of Appeals, December 12th at 6:30 PM. The Historic Preservation meeting is on December 17th at 6, and the Planning Board meeting will be December 19th at 6:30. That's it?
Motion to adjourn?
All right, is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.